you will constantly create little egotistical maniacs, which I'm sorry are your fucking children. I know you love them and you want to sprinkle them with fucking hibiscus and lavender and ask me what to tell them to make them that G. But actually, they're nothing but the 1,000 young that will keep, you're just trapped, you're just a method for getting mother gods trapped in prison based upon the ego. So the ego that they had a problem with, listen now, the ego that the individual had a problem with on a cosmic level, which was only being contemplated in his own mind, so much so to the point where he says, I need to go through something to work this thought out. The going through something is an incarnation. So you had an incarnation to work out something in your mind, which can be classified as the ego, which from the other side is classified as a flaw in your thought. So that ego that you came to work out when you're born here on planet Earth is called your personality. You heard? So my granddaughter, just turning 1 next month, has a personality already. That, where did she get it from? How could she develop it? Well, over lifetimes, it could be that too. Because once you start the process, you created more ego, living as panic. Shit, just becoming panic. Just getting in the Uber, oh, you brother Panic, oh my God, you saved my life. Like, I have to take that and not let it penetrate me emotionally. Because the day I saw, yeah, I am brother Panic. That's right. And I am saving lives. The more I become that, I can carry that into another lifetime. So you're trying, that's why you'll hear me and Bobby say, can't be human, you got to get past humanity. Because what you're really trying to do is not really about bad or good. You're not trying to invest in more things that build a false persona in your mind. Because you came here in the first place to deal with a false persona that was in your mind. Now you become it. It's called personality. And you want to live as that personality to see how terrible it is. And then when you die, that you would perish the thought. Because that thought I did live out. That thought, I put a name to it. We're going to call that thought that I think is a flaw, brother Panic. So now I say, look, this thought won't go away, and I need to perfect myself and perfect my thinking. That's what we're doing. I come to planet Earth as that thought, personality, brother Panic. The good news would be I left Earth. I'm done with the thought. Listen, I'm done with the thought because I now understand why I came to Earth, to express myself as brother Panic. So I chose the way I looked. I chose my nose. I chose how many girls I was going to. I did all of that. That was the unconscious contract that I put down here. When I die, I go, I'm supposed to still remember, which we no longer remember because we've been religified and taken off that path where others could tell us, hey, this is why you're here, nigga, do that. So we don't remember. So when we die, all we know is what we just got finished dealing with as brother Panic. So either I'm still trying to work out that equation. And while working out that equation, my heart is not lighter than a feather. Just because I'm working out that equation as brother Panic. What I'm supposed to know is I never was Panic. I'm a greater entity that expressed myself as Panic because it was something I was trying to figure out in my own mind. So I created this personality called Panic so I can figure out this equation in my mind. And since I know this wasn't real, and since as Panic, I did figure out and came to Earth and got what I needed to get, I have no ties here. I don't want to see black people overcome here because it never was real. I don't want to see black people finish off white people and get those mangoes again. I don't want to see the black woman do this. I'm over it because I know it wasn't real. It was only a place I came to or put myself in for the purpose of a thought that I had that I made manifest in a personality called Brother Panic, and I got what I want. Therefore, my heart is lighter than a feather. No karma, because it never was real. And Panic never was real. He was just a thought. And what he did, feeling the wrong butt, stealing goats, coveting thy neighbor's goods, doesn't matter because that's what the ego would do. And that's why he came down here to probe that thought, to see what selfishness is. So when you got a kid that's just selfish and doing that and doing something worse, it only really tells you about the thoughts that they're trying to perfect as gods. So those personalities you don't like are the personality, always was born like that. Those are the personalities that are deep in heart of flaws that particular God is trying to perfect in itself on earth. These personalities clash and you meet up. They tell you in the laws of attraction, every single person you meet, you chose to meet them. That's because you're taking this idea or this flaw that we can call an ego that manifests through a personality. You're trying to bump into conflict. And you're also trying to bump into those that make you feel good too. What makes that ego feel good? What makes that ego feel bad? These are the niggas I hate. And these are the niggas, man, as soon as I met that motherfucker, he was the greatest motherfucker. They're trying to show you, or you're trying to show yourself, what feeds this ego positively and what feeds this portion of your ego negatively. Not to do one or the other, to understand it, so therefore to have a true understanding of how it's fed and how it's not fed is when it gets more aggressive. How you feed it is how you appease it and don't think of the thought. For instance, if you got $1 million, you're not thinking about the problem of the gas bill. If you have $30 and your gas bill comes, you're thinking about it. You get what I'm saying? So how do you appease the problem called your gas bill? You just make enough money to pay it. You appease the gas bill. So most people think you're here to eradicate the ego, which is ultimately the truth. But how you truly eradicate the ego is through appeasement of it. There's a phrase that I know you niggas didn't understand before, but I'll be happy to explain, called let the baby have its bottle. So most of us think you're supposed to eradicate the ego by stopping it, but you eradicate it by giving it what it wants. Not in all cases, but in other words, you've been trained and born to love Nikes. We know it's mind control. We know that white man is taking your money and adding it to some shit that don't interest you. But your ego sure love the way that swoosh curves on the side of that goddamn leather boot, that finery. So most of you would say, now that I'm conscious, I can't buy Nikes because it's a stupid thing. So what a real occultist would do, I want to stop saying what a real occultist is because it's making it seem like some of y'all niggas ain't real occultists. What I'm trying to say is what the authentic nigga high in the occult game would do, and I like to paint myself with that fucking brush, is not try, it's a petty thing to try to, and you can do it, create new symbols that supersede all the years and years of symbols that made you feel Nike was the greatest shoe ever. You can do it and get over it. But I got bigger fish to fry. Because if I know this is the process for all things, there's bigger things I want to try to accomplish. And it really ain't got nothing to do with this world and white man. There are cosmic realities that I really try to deal with in terms of really doing the work at this point. Earthly understanding, I'll leave that to you niggas who want to stay around here. I don't. So I don't really cultivate that. I cultivate more cosmic understanding, cosmic wisdom. And I have a meditation my grandfather gave me. So I'll give you a cosmic meditation before we leave that will work. Unlike anything I think you've been fucking with. So those are the levels of reality. I've been giving that kind of shit out for years. That's what you want. And then I come up to the more realities about, repeating information about how whites are the greatest. So you're here dealing with your personality, your ego, and appeasing it. So I bought myself close to 200 pairs of sneakers based upon making myself have enough money for where I don't notice that as a thing. If you got bills and all that shit, then that sounds big. But that was just day to day. So I go to the mall, get a haircut, come out with 1 or 2 pairs of sneakers, shit builds up. So instead of trying to eradicate my love for Nikes, I understand where it comes from, that it is generated by my humanity, that spirituality has nothing to do with it more than feeling like good by wearing clothes that others think are good, society thinks are good, for the purpose of feeling good and looking like the God you're saying you are. I get it. If black people made those clothes, I'd wear it if it's good. But niggas is making kente-based fashion enough of that. Nobody's just really making, this is a shoe that's actually at the caliber, let's say, of Nike in terms of the leather, the design, and the input of the design. And niggas are doing it for real. Not just one nigga named fucking William L. Bay, but maybe a group of niggas really put something together. Whereas, and I've seen they tried it, but they're doing it under the wrong banner. They're doing it because they only know white people under the same banner as white people. So they made Ewings back in the days. And Ewings were much cheaper than Jordans. In fact, that's how they sold them. But niggas said, you got on the cheap Ewings. Now my sons and them niggas are wearing Ewings like they classic throwbacks. I was telling niggas was pretty much calling those skips. Niggas had them because they weren't skips, but they were cheaper, and that was the word. No one's making a not cheap shoe, but a cheaper shoe than your standard Nikes. So the 50 and 75 bucks make it 40 and 50, the same price as the throwback Adidas and the throwback Fila and the throwback Pumas. And you put quality into it. You get, what's the dude, the football player that stood on one knee? You start paying them niggas to sponsor it, who would probably take a low pay because they have no sponsors. And then by doing Kaepernick, what you did was all the people who stood behind him, based upon him doing what he did with one knee, will now support the new shoe. Do I sound deep? Well, I don't have to sound deep because that's exactly what Nike did. They changed their logo from just do it to don't do it based upon some police shit. They put the dude Kirkpatrick, whatever his name is, on a shirt, or they did something with him or one of his phrases because they understand what I'm telling you is basic shit that regular niggas who sit down and pontificate all day aren't even making steps to actually do to counteract this shit. They know how to talk about it, but there's nothing being done. Nike did it because they know. Grab whatever new shoe thing, and there's always niggas with a new shoe. Niggas be selling some cheap-ass, fucked-up shoes at some of the lectures. Hats and shit, adding on to white hats, their shit. No design, just adding Hotep shit to regular shit. Just sticking kente cloth, red, black, and green on shit and calling it a new product. I get it. I totally get it. But where's the collective effort to make a sneaker and put different heroes on it? Sneakers no longer have any fucking thing to do with basketball. Sneakers were originally sold by basketball because sneakers were used for one thing only in their existence, to play sports, to play basketball. Now sneakers are what we wear. Shoes are odd, pretty much. Sneakers are what we do. So now you can have anybody promote a sneaker. Wesley Snipes, Spike Lee, anybody. You see what I'm saying? See, I can think of this easy because I don't have that white symbol in my mind, even as the enemy that I need to fucking defeat for my party to get started. And I don't do any of this fucking crap because I'm over humanity. That's including doing shit to make me feel better and stronger as a human. I gave up the dumb shit and the shit to make you the greatest human ever. But if y'all niggas is going to do it right. Y'all going to say Black Lives Matter and all that shit. Start saying, if they kill another nigga, we just won't eat at McDonald's no more. We won't eat at Chick-fil-A no more. Until Chick-fil-A and McDonald's go, wait a minute. How can we help you? Oh, good. I'll start telling black people to eat at your establishment again once you put money to do X, Y, or Z. So now they have to lobby you because you become the most powerful lobby based upon you telling them what you will and won't do in terms of business, because business are the only thing that matters. And to you white activists and historians, the only thing that white people see that is scary, if you fuck with magic. Everything else is a matrices that they created, and the argument or the other side of the argument that they created, you niggas already know about order out of chaos. That's their modus operandi. That's how they operate. Order out of chaos. So every argument that you could possibly make is the one that they created for you to make. You're not going to win here with a shinier business idea. You're not going to educate yourself through their educational system. Listen, they showed you right now, all this economic shit that you're talking about as an evolution, a revolution for black people, they showed you in 2 weeks, they turned off the American economy and told you, get your ass upstairs, nigga, and stay. We decide when businesses can go. So you can make the greatest fucking nigger return to consciousness business, but under their system, you understand, they could turn it on and turn it off when you become any form of a threat. They are the definition of this fake money that you're trying to get and use as a power. They defined it, created it, and they print it. And they tell you the value of it. Are you kidding me? You will never win that way. The only way you can win is outside of their system. And you think you need to have to go directly outside of their system. You don't. What you need to do is just start communicating and networking with other black people. All these other black people that do something. Maybe Umar Johnson wasn't the greatest guy to be a speaker, because it's clear that once people started talking about him, he reacted to it. And it turned into the spectacle that it did. But you cannot deny his valuable mind that he manifested. Perhaps with others, him and others, myself included for the role that I could possibly play, can start creating a system or throwing around ideas for others to create, because we are the 1% that are of the divine mind that we retained and hold. That's why we feel compelled to speak to other folks who hasn't retained much of their divine mind, who's going through the human thing. So there are some humans that are built for enacting these things. They just don't have the divine force, which we own, which we are wielding, to give them methodology, nigga. So perhaps Umar Johnson, because everyone, just like I said, no one wants to be anything but a rapper. It seems like once you become enlightened, there's no place to go but start talking on YouTube. But if you were to actually get together what Umar Johnson was trying to do, if there were others perhaps who had talents, if it was a bigger thing, that's how those who are into this thing would pull it off. What we're trying to do is win within a system that they create. Another way of looking at this is they tell you in boxing, when you get in the ring, do not fight the other man's fight. The very economic freedom that you're talking about is still a freedom through their fight. Our economic freedom was based upon barter. So how are you going to win doing their shit? How are you going to go to their schools and be proud to call yourself a PhD based upon their title of that? Their curriculum, their criteria for PhD, you accept it, and we say, well, he got a PhD, he must be smart. But then that very smart person goes on to explain how stupid white people are, as they say in their very name, the credentials that these stupid white people have bestowed on them. You were intelligent before you went to that school. In fact, your intelligence is what gave you the confidence to go to that fucking school. Get it? Your ability to conform, because going to school is conformity. All them niggas who just can't make it to college, their mind is still a little bit more divine than yours. I'm sorry. But again, I don't want to do this where you, because y'all niggas is not that bright, but you understand this comparison. We all came, as I just pointed out. See, I usually try to say the shit I just pointed out, maybe they can retain that and add it to what I just said. It doesn't work like that. So I have to go back. What I just pointed out was we all came for our personalities. So when I say, and we all came to express it, so these personalities, or the super personalities that we all had, that means they also can be used as powers. You get what I'm saying? And to get something done for the expression of understanding that. So we can, so these have another word. They're called talents. So these talents come from what you chose to be when you got here. So when I say some of us have our divine mind, can't go to college, the ones that go and get their masters and PhDs, they're not weaker or less than anything. They just chose to raise up more intellect in themselves so they can be that person. And the true idea is to bring the ideas of their enemy back to that, rehash it, and use it against their enemy. What they're doing is getting the information from their enemy and saying, we can make our enemy's information better and win our enemy with the information in the system that they gave us. We're supposed to say, this is the African mind, and this is the mind they're making. And if this is the mind they're making, they have their high, and this is who they are, this is who their kids are, and our African mind is truly divine, we could think them out of existence without having to factor in what they're doing. And they did this, and they're doing that, and this is how they do that, and this is why they do that. No, we're African mind. Let's start dealing with our African prowess and solutions. Let's start getting these people together who have certain talents and saying, hey, your talent is this. Don't compare Brother Panic to James Smalls. Understand James Smalls for the standalone entity, the magic, the mastery, the magician that he is, and understand his talent for what it is, and understand how you can utilize parts of each one of these talents to become talented yourself in these areas. And with a piece of everyone's, your talent becomes a new talent. You understand what I'm saying? It's about finding your talent or your power or your God force or your purpose for being here. This is expressed through the ego and your creative talent and the shit you want to do. It's expressed through that, but ultimately for you to understand it and run its course and be done with it, i.e. heart lighter than a feather. You understand?